Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, let me introduce myself, Devi fejer anggraeni, with NPM 2341165 from Management 23C class. In this opportunity, we will discuss one of the important topics in the tourism management course, namely Sociology of Tourism and tourism components and suppliers. In this lesson, we will understand how the relationship between people, culture, and tourism activities is shaped in social life. We will also discuss the key components that make up the tourism industry, as well as the crucial role of suppliers in supporting the sector's sustainability. This material is very important, because by understanding the sociological side of tourism, we can see tourism not only as an economic activity, but also as a means of social interaction and cultural exchange that can have a broad impact on society. So, make sure you pay close attention to each part of the explanation, because we'll be discussing it thoroughly and in depth. Let's begin this lesson. Okay, in this first part we will discuss the sociology of tourism. Sociology of tourism is a branch of science that studies the social relationship between humans and tourism activities. This means that in every tourism activity, there is social interaction that occurs both between tourists and local communities, between tourists and tourism industry players such as guides, hoteliers, and government officials. The sociology of tourism examines how human behavior is influenced by tourism activities, as well as how tourism itself shapes new social values within a community. For example, when an area becomes a popular destination, its people tend to adapt to a more open, tolerant lifestyle, and a greater understanding of cultural differences. This demonstrates that tourism not only stimulates the economy but also transforms the social patterns of a community. In addition, the sociology of tourism also highlights other aspects that are often forgotten, such as the negative social impacts that can arise from tourism. For example, the emergence of economic disparities between local communities involved in the tourism industry and those not, and the potential for cultural commercialization to erode traditional values. Therefore, understanding the sociology of tourism is crucial for balanced management of tourism activities, not only for economic gain but also for social harmony and the preservation of local culture. Through this perspective, we learn that tourism is truly a dynamic space for social interaction, where people exchange culture, experiences, and human values. Suppliers in the industry. Tourist. Next, we'll discuss suppliers in the tourism industry. In the tourism context, suppliers are the parties who provide the necessities for tourists during their travels. Suppliers play a crucial role because they guarantee the comfort and quality of the tourist experience. The first is transportation providers. These include airlines, bus companies, train services, and even ships. Without safe, comfortable, and timely transportation, travelers will not be satisfied with their trip. Second, accommodation providers, such as hotels, resorts, or villas. These providers contribute significantly to creating a destination's image. Many tourists choose a destination based on the comfort of their accommodation. Third, tour agents and operators, whose role is to organize tour packages, itineraries, and tour guide services. They help tourists plan their trips without hassle, while also providing added value in the form of cultural and historical information. Fourth, food and beverage providers. Local restaurants, cafes, and eateries are not just places to eat, but also platforms for promoting culture through the flavors of regional culinary specialties. Fifth, attractions and entertainment providers, such as recreational parks, cultural centers, or organizers of arts events and festivals. They keep destinations attractive and provide reasons for tourists to return. And finally, the government and supporting institutions play a role in policy formulation, promotion, and infrastructure development. Without government policy and promotional support, tourism management will not run optimally. So it can be said that suppliers are the lifeblood of the tourism system, because they are the ones who keep the entire value chain running smoothly. Components. Main tourism. Now we come to a discussion about the main components of tourism. Every tourist destination must have several important elements that are interconnected and determine the success of tourism in that area. The first component is tourist attraction. This is the primary reason tourists come to a destination. It can be natural beauty like beaches, mountains, waterfalls, or cultural attractions like traditional ceremonies and arts festivals. Without a unique attraction, a destination struggles to attract tourists sustainably. Second, accessibility. This encompasses how tourists can reach the location, including the availability of transportation, road infrastructure, and public facilities that support comfortable travel. Good access will increase the number of tourist visits. Third, there's accommodation. This is where tourists stay, ranging from star-rated hotels and simple guest houses to local homestays. Accommodation isn't just about a place to sleep, it's also about the experiences offered to travelers. Fourth, facilities and services, or amenities. These include restaurants, shopping centers, places of worship, healthcare facilities, and recreational areas. Without adequate facilities, tourists may not stay long at a destination. Next, there are institutional and promotional or ancillary services. These include travel agencies, tour agents, tourism associations, and government agencies that play a role in introducing destinations to the wider public. And finally, the local community. This is the most vital component, as they serve as hosts for tourists. Their friendly attitude, involvement, and community participation will determine the positive image of the destination in the eyes of tourists. So, these 6 components are not standalone components, but rather, relationship between sociology and components of tourism. Now we come to the relationship between sociology and tourism components. In practice, all components of tourism have a very strong social dimension. When tourists arrive, what occurs is not just the exchange of money, but also the exchange of values, norms, and social customs. For example, cultural tourism attractions like traditional dance are not only enjoyed as entertainment but also serve as a means of social communication between local communities and tourists. This interaction enriches cross-cultural understanding and fosters mutual respect. However, these social relationships must be managed wisely. If local communities feel marginalized, or if their cultural values are misused for commercial gain, social conflict will arise. This is where the sociology of tourism becomes crucial as a tool for analyzing social dynamics and finding solutions to ensure harmonious interactions between tourists and the community. Furthermore, social aspects also influence tourism's sustainability. When local communities are actively involved in tourism management, they feel ownership and are motivated to preserve their own environment and culture. Conversely, if the community is merely a bystander, social inequality will arise, with negative long-term impacts. By understanding the relationship between sociology and tourism, we can design tourism development strategies that are not only economically beneficial, but also strengthen social and cultural ties in the area. In closing this discussion, we can understand that tourism is not simply a travel or entertainment activity, but rather a complex and interconnected social system involving people, culture, economy, and the environment. From a sociological perspective, tourism reflects how humans interact, influence each other, and build cross-cultural social relationships. Through tourism, an exchange of values, norms, and lifestyles occurs that affects not only tourists but also the local communities they host. By understanding the sociology of tourism, we can see that every tourism activity has social consequences. On the one hand, tourism can improve the economic well-being of communities, create jobs, and expand social networks within communities. However, on the other hand, tourism can also lead to significant social changes such as shifts in cultural values, the emergence of social inequality, and changes in community lifestyles due to the influx of modernization through tourists. Therefore, tourism management must consider the balance between economic benefits and social impacts. Furthermore, if we look at the components of tourism, such as tourist attractions, accessibility, accommodation, facilities, and local community participation, all play vital roles that cannot be separated from one another. Each component contributes to creating a complete and meaningful tourism experience. Without attractive attractions, tourists will not come. Without good accessibility, tourists will have difficulty reaching locations. Without accommodation and facilities, tourists cannot enjoy their visits comfortably. Therefore, all these components must function harmoniously for tourism activities to run effectively and provide a sustainable positive impact. Furthermore, within the tourism industry, suppliers also play a crucial role. They are the ones who ensure the availability of services for tourists, from transportation and accommodation to culinary delights and entertainment. Without suppliers, the wheels of tourism would not turn smoothly. Suppliers are the primary drivers, bridging the needs of tourists and the potential of destinations. Socially, suppliers also form part of a network of mutually supportive human relationships that create satisfying and memorable tourism experiences. However, it's important to remember that the success of tourism management isn't solely measured by the number of tourists visiting or the level of regional income, but also by the extent of the social and cultural benefits experienced by the local community. When communities actively participate and directly benefit from tourism activities, tourism sustainability is maintained. Conversely, if communities are merely spectators or even feel disadvantaged, social conflict and resistance to tourism can arise. From the material we've discussed, we can understand that tourism isn't just about travel and entertainment, it's also a social phenomenon involving human interaction, cultural values, and community dynamics. Tourism components and suppliers play interconnected roles in shaping meaningful and sustainable travel experiences. As prospective practitioners and managers in the tourism sector, it is important for us to be able to manage this industry by paying attention to social and cultural aspects so that the benefits of tourism can be felt equally by local communities and tourists. Thank you for watching this educational video to the end. We hope the material presented has been helpful and has increased our understanding of the social aspects of tourism. See you in the next material. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.